I'm Bria Maranthus with Mike Fisher at Dallas Cowboys headquarters in Frisco. Now, a couple weeks ago, Mike, I asked you a question about who would win a title first, the Dallas Cowboys or the Dallas Mavericks, and you said the Dallas Mavericks.
I don't recall any of this.
You said the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't recall any of this conversation.
I think I can pull up the video. I was wondering if you would like to change your answer now that the Mavericks are in the Western Conference Finals.
In fairness to me, not that I deserve any, the Mavericks at that moment, I believe, were down 0-2 in the series to a Phoenix Suns team that was the best in the NBA in the regular season and looked like it had 3 Lukas on it. And then what happened, obviously, is Coach Jason Kidd and his people absolutely dismantled 2 of their Lukas. Chris Paul, you watch that series, you go, maybe he should retire. That's how rough that was. The idea that Devin Booker got more MVP votes than Luka now looks preposterous. And Ayton was actually pretty good, but they wouldn't give him the ball. And then we get games 6 and 7, and the Mavericks just didn't do it once in Game 7.
Right.
Game 6 was almost as lopsided.
Right.
And so as we sit here today, Western Conference Finals, I would like to amend my prediction and my pick.
So you are going with the Dallas Mavericks will win a title before the Dallas Cowboys. Just to reiterate your
Just to look at the calendar, that seems about right. I mean, to the Mavericks' credit, and I mean, they've really catapulted themselves in the postseason. And Luka Doncic has been the best player on the floor almost every minute that he's on the floor. Do you do that again against Golden State? Conceivably. Do you do it when Golden State also has 3 Lukas in a way? Well, I thought about putting up a survey on social media about predictions in this series. Do you predict Mavs to win in 4, 5, 6, or 7? We're going to be my four choices. So yeah, I'm leaning to the Mavericks.
Okay, yeah, I think that's official now. Let's talk about the Cowboys and their upcoming season. Quarterback Dak Prescott is healthy, but my question to you is, does Dak have the most pressure on him and any quarterback in the NFL?
Well, we play these games in the offseason, and that's okay. It's a good bar stool conversation and argument to have. But I'm trying to look around the NFL and trying to determine which of the 32 starting quarterbacks are pressure-free.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have pressure on them? Even if somebody ranked Davis Mills in Houston as the number 32 quarterback among the starters in the NFL. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's fair. But that doesn't take the pressure off Davis Mills, who's fighting for his life as an NFL quarterback, and who in Houston they think of as a potential savior level guy. So 1 through 32, there is no absence of pressure. Let's say this about Dak Prescott. The old joke, he eats it for breakfast. He eats pressure for breakfast. He has gone through things in his life, football and otherwise, that would cause you to believe that he's not really very flustered by any of this junk. And while there are aspects of his game that make him inferior to a Rodgers, a Brady, a Mahomes, by the way, who isn't inferior to those 3 guys, there are also aspects of his character and personality that mean that pressure is not going to be what gets in his way. It might be something else, but it won't be pressure.
Prescott seems to love to rise to the occasion. As OTAs begin around the league, let's look at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm curious if you think in the locker room the Cowboys have that early exit to the San Francisco 49ers on their mind.
It's a funny thing because on the one hand, you have to have that scar tissue. You have to have gone through that pain and that anguish in order to get to the next level. And you have to remember the pain and the anguish. At the same time, you shop and compare. Dak Prescott saying, I think about it every day. It haunts me every day.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons, and again, I think they're mirror leaders, one on the offense, one on the defense. Micah Parsons says, I want amnesia. I don't want to think about it. I don't remember it. I don't want it in my head anymore. Some combination of both is probably wise. You have to have a short memory, and so you can move on from failure. But you also, I think, find yourself motivated by failure. A friend of the show, Michael Irvin, has famously talked with us about how his motivation was fear. He was afraid to lose. He was afraid to fail. He was afraid of getting traded, afraid of getting cut, afraid of getting booed, which is a fascinating admission from one of the most confident, all right, let's just say it, cocky, arrogant son of a guns who's ever come through this or any other building, and we love him to death for it. But if Michael Irvin can understand the value of fear and failure, then there is a place for it with this generation of Cowboys too.
I'm sure there is some sort of psychological something or other when it comes to, should we forget it or should we move forward?
Well, it's kind of like confidence. It's kind of like being on a roll. It's kind of like being hot. What is that?
Yeah.
And if you could put your finger on it, if you could put it in a bottle, you'd be worth $8 billion like Jerry Jones is, or $10 billion. He just upped it to $10 billion, the value of this franchise. And again, you played competitive softball at a high level. I don't know at what point you go, listen, I'm not nervous.
Right.
I don't have any pressure. I'm gonna hit a line drive here because I've hit 3 in a row. I don't know when that kicks in. Dallas Cowboy fans would like to have it kick in right now.
So the Dallas Cowboys do begin organized team activity soon, and there's a lot of question marks going on when it comes to positional battles and whatnot, but what do you think is the biggest question mark they need to answer during OTAs?
I think if you're a Cowboy fan and you're sitting in a chair, and maybe it's a 30,000 foot view, and you're looking at the NFC East, I do think you have the right to go, okay, the Eagles just did it again. They just signed another good player that I've heard of.
Right.
And I'm being fair to Cowboy Nation, and I hope I'm not being unfair to fans. We all like the guy we've heard of. Whether it's the draft, that guy sucked. That's because he played at Tarleton State and you never heard of him.
It's
that
kind
guy's
of the fantasy football effect.
Right. That guy's great. Well, that's because he's a running back at Notre Dame and you saw him on TV every week.
Right.
But what the Giants have lost in Bradbury and the Eagles gain is another example of the Eagles hitting the accelerator here, and how the Cowboys match what they've done, talent for talent for talent, when the Cowboys are saying we're going to do it in the draft and on the cheap, not that that's wrong, versus the Eagles doing it in clearly a more headline grabbing way, which is, oh, there's a $10 million cornerback out there, or maybe he's a $20 million cornerback, and we get him for 10, you're in. We'll see Eagles versus Cowboys, and I think we're going to see a lot of talk about it because Bradbury and company in Philadelphia going against CeeDee Lamb and company. And then on the flip side, their signing of A.J. Brown, which I just thought was, or the acquisition of A.J. Brown, I think that's a championship move, and Trayvon Diggs has got to go cover him. Right. So Cowboys versus Eagles. I think when you take an overview of what's going on with this organization, you do cast an eye to what's going on with that organization.
Right. So we are here at Dallas Cowboys headquarters, the house that Jerry Jones built. In a recent interview, Jerry Jones said, "I'm never ever selling the Cowboys." Why should anyone be surprised by that?
Yeah, he says this all the time. And it's the right thing to say. In the context of this, with this conversation with Peter King, what he was saying is, here's how much they're worth. Here's how much we've done in building this, and to go from 150 million 33 years ago to 10 billion. But just to make it clear, just because it's worth 10 billion doesn't mean I want to get rid of it. To which, by the way, his children, grandchildren, grandchildren's 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 are glad.
They let out a hurrah.
Yeah, this is a Jones family legacy. There's no reason to ever think there's ever going to be a change. I wouldn't be surprised if in Jerry's will, he has it written in there that never, 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 never. It is a family business in some of the very best ways, maybe some ways that some people don't think are the best, but Stephen, Charlotte, Jerry Jr., all deeply involved, and now the grandkids are starting to get deeply involved too. So this is a Jones family thing. So for those of you who say, if we could just get Jerry out of here, well, someday you'll get Jerry out of here, but you'll have Stephen, and then you'll get Stephen out of here, and then you'll have John Stephen and his generation of Joneses. So the Joneses are going to own the Dallas Cowboys, and in terms of their value, that is for the better.
Now, Mike, you know the Jones family very well. You're also here in Frisco all the time. So what kind of whispers are you hearing around the Dallas Cowboys at the moment? The
meshing of, and this is happening right now in the building as we speak, the meshing of the rookie class and the veterans. And it's not on the field yet. That's not part of the bylaws of the NFL. But it's in the meeting rooms and it's in the weight room.